Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. We truly value everyone's time. Thank you so much, Samantha, for joining us here in this lovely afternoon here in Los Angeles. We have some nice little weather going. And thank you, everyone, too, for joining us and sharing your time to get to learn a little bit more about what Samantha does in her role and what brought her to this role. So thank you all so much. Samantha joins us from Fabletics. And I'll go ahead and pass it on so she can fully introduce herself. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Carla. Hi, guys. So good to meet all of you, or at least see your names. Um, Before we get started, actually, Christian, you're the brave one letting me say hi to you. Um, but before we get started, I'd love to just know where you guys are right now. I know probably all been in LA, but maybe you've moved out, maybe you've gone to North California. So I'd love to see in the chat just who we have here and where you're coming from. I can start it. I'll write in mine as well.
Can we share it vocally or do we have to type it in?
Yeah, you can share vocally. I'd love that.
Okay, I don't mind going first.
Yeah.
I just got to LA back in 2024 of December, so I've been here since then. But before that, between 2021 and 2024, I was in Chico in Northern California.
Awesome. Welcome. And I see we have a lot of LA, Riverside. Okay, great. I just love to know who I'm talking to and where you guys are. I'm going to share my screen and then I'll get into a little introduction about myself and we'll jump into it. Go. Perfect. You guys can see that? Awesome. So I'm here kind of just to talk to you. I've been all over the place, all over the country and in careers, and I've gone kind of through sports, events, and brand partnerships. So planning to kind of just touch on a little bit of each of them. Continue to share. There we go. So just you're gonna see probably like little bits of photos from events I've done throughout the years, throughout this slideshow. But we'll start off with an introduction, give you just my career timeline, early life, career, further in the career, and then takeaways for you. But I'd love this to be interactive. If you have any questions, you can either raise your hand or put them in the chat. And I'm happy to pause and really answer those questions in the moment. I know sometimes it's easy to forget them. But as we go through each job, there might be questions that kind of come to mind. So I'm happy to talk about them in the moment. Awesome. So we're just going to start with the basics to begin with. Um, so I'm from Philadelphia, born and raised, stayed there all through high school, all through college. And then I moved out here to California in LA about 8 years ago now. So local people might get mad at me for this, but I like to think I'm a local. I have adjusted to the weather. I don't want to be in the snow anymore. Um, I'm happy to have escaped the storm last weekend. Um, but no, I really love it out here and I feel lucky to be in LA. And so, just to give a little bit background before even getting into college, I have a twin brother and then an older brother. So, a lot of that kind of just is interesting because we have very different interests. So, I'm going to kind of go into all of that. But my twin brother loves art and I love soccer, so we could not be more opposite. Um, so I've learned a lot about the creative side of things, which really goes in with my marketing experience. But I'm fully, as you can see in my personality, full sports lover. I played soccer growing up, thought I was going to be a professional soccer player. That was kind of just like what I assumed and wanted the entire time. Thought I was good enough. I think I still was, but I don't know. Um, Also, another thing I'd say about my personality is I'm an optimist. So I like to see just like the best in everything. Like you want to see the glass half full every time. I know that's not always easy, but it really helps going forward in life through anything hard, any hardships for sure. And then social butterfly. I am definitely an extrovert. I get my energy from being around people. Um, I've learned that not everybody is like that, and it's good to kind of learn the people you're working with and be able to know like if somebody needs some time. Not everyone's an extrovert like me. Um, so I've definitely learned that over the years, but I'm definitely a people person. Um, and then just let's move into some fun skills. Definitely, as I'm saying, I'm an extrovert, so a people connector. And this goes for you guys as well. I'm always wanting to help people and kind of connect. If I have a friend that says they're looking for a job or a coworker, an old coworker, and then I see a job opening on LinkedIn, I will be tagging you in it. I will be making sure to help you connecting everyone. So keep that in mind because I'll show you my LinkedIn at the end of this. And again, I'd love to stay in touch and be able to help in any way. Again, this social butterfly, this optimist, positive energy bringer, you need that in the workplace, in for what I do now, events. I That's necessary in stressful situations. Just try to bring that positive energy or blast that music, make people happy. Um, Another one, just important, being a team player. That's you will go far if you can be a team player. I think that works for anywhere you go, keeping that in mind. And then lastly, again with positive, enthusiastic leader. Um, so those are just a few skills to keep in mind. This is just kind of a little background about myself, get to know me before we get into the nitty-gritty of the career. And just a few pieces of advice that I think I've learned over the years and I'd love to share with you. I'm here today because I'm sharing kind of information that I didn't know going out of college. And I wish I did. I wish I sat in on more presentations and learned a lot more. So I just feel like this will be a great thing. If you take anything away from this hour, I want you to take this away. But you don't need a perfect plan. Things change. I will be telling you about how majors changed. Out my full plan went completely the opposite direction. Growth is, as you see, greater than perfection. You learn from mistakes. I think the best times that I've learned have literally been when I've messed up. And then you remember and you don't do it again. Like if you do things right the first time, you don't even realize that you're doing it right sometimes and then you don't think about it. But when you have a mistake, I remember just multiple times in my career that something messed up and I realized I forgot to set up what was supposed to be set up and really just owning it and saying I'm sorry, that was on me. I never did it again. So that definitely helped me grow. And that's one of my honestly favorite bits of advice that I've had. And then lastly, saying yes opens doors. Just yes, yes, yes. If you feel like you can do it, even if you're scared, push yourself. And you never know what that might bring you. And I have many examples that I'll be showing you of things that really happened from saying yes. Awesome. So let's get into it. Is this? There we go. So, just to start out, I'm just going to go through quickly my career timeline, kind of my resume here. So, I graduated from St. Joseph University, that's in Philadelphia, where I was from, and I majored in sports marketing. And then from there, while I was in college, I started interning. So I started in the MLS. So really, as I said, I played soccer. Why not work in soccer? I got lucky getting my first internship here at New York Red Bulls, and as the community relations intern, and then that turned into a front office assistant. From there, I stayed with an MLS in Philadelphia Union. And then after a summer internship with the Philadelphia Union, I switched over into Fox Sports, which was really working for Villanova University, also in Philadelphia. From there, I moved out to Atlanta. So I'm saying I've been around the different cities, can also give you advice on any weather of any of these cities. Um, but Atlanta United and Atlanta Falcons. So I kind of like touched my foot in NFL along with MLS. From there, got into the NBA with the Lakers, which is what brought me out here to Los Angeles. From there, went into On Location, which I'll give you more details, and now I'm presently at Fabletics. So, just a quick snapshot before we get in and dive deeper to my career. Awesome. So,
Samantha, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Could you click on the use slideshow at the top? We can see the note form.
oh,
Yeah, so that way we can see the words a little bigger.
use slideshow. Oh my God. Yes. There we go. You see the app. This
Yeah,
one's better, right? My,
perfect. Yes, thank
okay,
you.
good. Now I see. Some of you were like looking like this. I was like, I thought it was big. Okay, there we go. So much better. And you can't see your faces or anything on there, right? I'm gonna move them around. Okay, cool. Perfect. So let me just, well, there we go. So this is my dad, picture of me at my graduation. Um, I honestly was digging for these pictures for you guys. So when you get pictures, save them somewhere that you'll find them. And I guess we have Instagram now that you can search through for your photos. Um, but anyway, I was mentioning in high school for I played soccer 4 years in varsity. Not only did I think I'd be a professional soccer player, or I thought I'd be a teacher. So again, two different paths that I still did not end up doing. Um, I went from there into college, and I had a small setback before going into college. I had to take a year off. So I was diagnosed with something called lupus, which is an autoimmune disease. So that's just it took some time kind of staying home, figuring out what my path and what I was able to do and figuring myself out. But that was just a small setback that I was kind of determined even more that I saw my friends all going off to college and I wanted to do the same. So things get hard. Sometimes you just have to go a different path and do it your way. So I took a year home, moved on, and went to college in the following year. So I majored in first, early childhood education. So this looks nothing, that's nothing like my resume that you saw. I really thought that teaching kids, I loved kids. That was the path I wanted. I would always babysit in high school and college. I was like, why not just continue that? I did 2 years of it, working literally in classrooms. It was very rewarding. I loved being able to help all these young students. But decided literally going into junior year that it was not for me. And my mom actually told me it's never too late to change. I thought it was too late. I was halfway through college. How am I going to fully change from the art school to the business school? But I decided to take that advice and I switched. And so I switched to sports marketing, and I had to now get all the classes I needed in those 2 years. But I'm so thankful I did. I'm so happy with this sports marketing career that I've kind of created for myself. But it took a lot. It took summer classes. It took just really being motivated and determined to push and get into this next step, this next major. So interesting enough, what made me get into this big change to sports marketing, I was in a sorority named Alpha Phi, and I was our director of philanthropy. And so I was planning kind of all of our fundraising events. And I wanted to do some type of basketball event. Our basketball team was the big deal on campus. And it's like, why not? Let's do a basketball tournament. So I don't know how I did this, but somehow I managed to get a meeting with our head coach of the basketball team. Found out he was interested in fundraising, convinced him to donate for this event and get some of the players to actually ref this basketball tournament. So that was my first like little taste and intro into sports marketing. I didn't even know it at the time. It was just seemed like a fun event, but looking at what I do now is very similar to that. And I loved it. It was great, and I thought, how can I make this actually a career? Because when you're passionate about something, it doesn't feel like work. You just want to enjoy it, and you want to get up and do it every day. So I push you to kind of find that. What's that one thing that you're passionate about, and how can you make that into your job, into your career? Um, Fun fact, one of these players that was reffing the tournament we did for all the students ended up going into the NBA, and I like saw him later on in my career. So it was just kind of like a full circle moment, small world. Um, so anyway, that was just a fun little tidbit of don't feel like you can't change. if you're in a major and you're questioning things, like college is the time. Explore what you can. It doesn't mean get out of that major right now, but join clubs, talk to professors, talk to anybody that you can, because that really helped me. I actually had this one female professor that was in the sports marketing department, and that was where I was literally the only female class in or student in her class. And because of that, like I absolutely was more motivated, but I also became really close with her. And to this day, she's still a mentor to me. Through all the places I've gone, I call her, I text her. If she ends up in LA, we meet up. Um, so she was a huge help throughout this whole process. Um, and she saw that I really didn't know anything about business marketing, sports marketing as a junior coming out of the education major. And just because I was trying, she wanted to help. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter like how I was doing in the tests at first. She helped me get where I was better and better each time and studied harder. But it took a little bit of really fighting and working hard and studying. But because of that, not only did she just help me in general, support me, she would let me come in. We'd work on my resume together. She encouraged me to join the sports marketing club, would encourage me to do anything that I could volunteer. So something fun that you guys also could do. A lot of the sports teams, the local sports teams will have events or sometimes the arenas will have like one-off different events and they're often looking for volunteers for part-time jobs, so people to come in and they need those extra hands. So anytime that happened, I was in. I was signing up. I didn't know what I was going to, but I was signing up and showing up, trying to see who I could meet, who you could network with. And that was all through my sports marketing club. So I remember going to like a few Philadelphia Flyers games to really help out. I'm not sure. I think I handed things out. Like it wasn't really of what I did that was the most memorable, but it was like meeting people and getting this hands-on experience out of the classroom. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna pause here before I get into now the career fully. Are there any questions? Let me see. I don't even see the chat actually. Hmm. Carla, are there any questions
Yes.
there?
So from very early on, Christian asked, what position did you play?
Important. I was a forward. I was up on the wing. I was fast, trying to score goals.
Yeah, and then another student asked if how'd you navigate your summer courses? You know, how you were able to fund those, as given that you had switched from one to another.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I definitely got financial aid and scholarships that helped me. Because it's tough going. I think I did a few online classes. Um, I think that may have been, I can't remember completely, but I feel like doing it online was a little bit more affordable. Um, but and loans. I still am paying off my student loans, but it's worth it. And it was because I did a lot of online, I was still able to work that summer. But it's really just like that organization and forcing myself. Like, I think I took finance online, which if any of you have taken finance, that is a hard class. Um, and then it was kind of like rushed online in the summer, and I think I had to work hard because I wanted to get through that class, but it was tough. I hope
And
that.
then one more question was, when you began your sports marketing career, what were some of the data-driven skills that you had to pick up and learn?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We had actually a data analytics class that we had to take on top of also stat. So that was huge. It depends which direction you wanted to go in. I was going in more of the like experiential marketing direction. So I only took one data analytics class, which was very interesting to me, but I will admit that's not my specialty. I purposely have gone in the other direction and don't work as much in it. But it's something that's huge in sports now, as you can imagine. And I'm sure you know asking that question. And there were many classes that really helped with that.
Yeah. And last question before we let you move on, Samantha. As someone who is currently taking the arts sector of sports marketing, is it helpful on its own, or would you recommend going to graduate school?
That's a great question. And I actually asked my professor, who's still my mentor today, that same question. I was planning to go directly out of undergrad to either graduate school or try to go to law school because I wanted to be an agent or a manager for some players. And she had some great advice that, and if you are going to go to grad school, I still think it would be great. But my favorite advice from her was take at least a year in the real world before moving on to to grad school, because then you can have some real world experiences in a job, in just like things that you don't always experience in the classroom. And then when you go back into the classroom for graduate school, you really have something to relate to and apply those skills to. So that's advice that I've been given that I've followed, but I also haven't gone back to grad school. So doesn't necessarily mean it's for everyone. If you really want to go to grad school, I still encourage you, and that I'd be proud to hear that you went. Awesome. Okay, we'll move on to the fun stuff. So this first internship that I had, so it was with the New York Red Bulls. Even though I was a soccer player, I will admit I did not know much back then about MLS. I definitely know a lot more now. So I was excited to get this, and then I found out later on like how great it was that I was getting to work with this team and these players. Um, but I was the community relations intern. So first, what is that? I don't think I knew what any of the jobs within the front office. That's kind of what we call it at a team, the office for that team. And I was just applying. I was literally anything I saw, I was trying to apply. I was trying to get an internship. Probably, I'm not exaggerating, 50 to 100 applications because I really was like, I felt like I needed more experience. And I received one interview, and it was for this one. And I drove 2 hours to from Philadelphia up to just like right below New York in North Jersey to the arena and had this interview. Um, it was for so community relations. What you do in this was a big thing was fulfilling donation requests, which this sounds glamorous, it was opening envelopes, deciding who we wanted to donate to, and I would send them a flyer saying you get like two free tickets. And a lot of times it was like galas and places that were fundraising and they could offer these tickets in like their fundraiser. So that was honestly majority of my day was in an office doing that. So, and I saw everyone doing all this, like going down to the field, taking photos, the social team, and I was like, I want to get to that, but you start somewhere. And this is where I started. So I was lucky there were a few times that I was able to kind of implement player appearances and actually like work with the players, bring them to meet and greets at events. So that was fun, but definitely I did the work trying to get to the next step. The one thing that I like to point out about this was 2 hours away. It was an unpaid internship, which I don't know that they allow that if that's a thing anymore. I had to like kind of work on the side to be able to still come to this internship. So I was doing it Monday, Wednesday, Fridays one summer, and I was driving 2 hours one way every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then 2 hours back, which I guess in LA that might be normal out here. But in Philadelphia, 2 hours is very far because you don't have the traffic like LA. Um, and it was definitely exhausting, but I was determined like I needed to get my foot in the door somewhere. Um, and from this internship, I actually got lucky and I met a lot of people that after the summer was done, they offered me to stay for a front office position. They needed someone at the front desk for the remainder of the year. And I, again, was determined, let's make it work. I arranged my college schedule to have classes on, I think, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I went up Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and worked the front desk, which gave me the chance to greet every single person walking through that building. And I'm still close to this day with some of the people I met from doing that. So just creating those relationships and kind of seeing here like what worked for me, building and maintaining these relationships. That helped me in the summer to get to this next step of let's stay, let's have you stay. From there, talk to people, stay close with them, and I still will. There's, I think, the head of marketing at this place, like if when I will email him once in a while and check in, and he's there to help, and he has so many connections. So keeping that network is huge. The industry is small and everyone knows everyone, I've found out, which is great to remember. And not just reaching out, this is a big one. Not just reaching out to people when you need something, you connect with them, you network, you make these great relationships, and then the internship is over and you maybe never go back there again. But how do you stay connected to them? Not just reaching out, hi, I want tickets to I'm coming this weekend. Can I have tickets? Or hi, I just saw this job posting that I would love. Can you help get my resume in? They want to hear from you other times. So, in order to keep this relationship, I would keep an eye out. Like, I remember seeing some exciting announcement that this marketing head that I was close with was quoted in the article. I emailed him about it and said, congrats, this is amazing to see for you. I just saw that you were quoted in this, and this is so exciting for your team. Not asking for anything. And it just helps. It really keeping that like doesn't have to be every month. It can be even every 6 months. It can be once a year. But checking in and really just like checking in on people and seeing how they're doing so that it can be a mutual beneficial relationship. And I mean, you see on here the others, which I'm sure a lot of you know about offering to help when you have time, showing curiosity. I knew nothing about sports, and I think this internship taught me the most of how a front office works. So going into it, just like ready for anything, that say yes attitude. Any New York Red Bulls questions? I'm not looking at the thing. Okay. I didn't miss any, did I, Carla?
No,
Okay.
you're good.
So just a few fun little snapshots now of the next few chapters after that first internship. Was a handful of my next internships. Um, when I graduated college, senior year, without a job, I knew I wanted to be in sports. I had done the summer before that New York Red Bulls internship, and I was like, I really want a job. I need to start making money. I need to start being full-time in a team. And I was given the advice of take another internship. You've only had one, take an assistant position, do what you can to still keep your foot in the door. So I took another internship at the Philadelphia Union. It again was unpaid, unfortunately. I was again working on the side. But it taught me more. I had gained even more experience that summer. And speaking of everyone knows everyone, from this job up here on the right next to Fox Sports, the woman next to me was my manager at Fox Sports. She actually worked at Philadelphia Union. She knew most of the people I was working with at Philadelphia Union. So I saw this job listing, I applied, found out who it was, and she ended up talking to people. I'm trying to remember. I actually don't think I knew that she had worked there. I just applied blindly, but she saw that I worked there and reached out to the team that I was working with, to my manager. And they luckily gave a great recommendation, which helped me get this next step. So it's everywhere. Everyone's connected. Um, and that was huge. That actually got me, the two internships were in like community relations, working with donations and fundraising. But this got me into the brand partnerships, the corporate partnerships side, which is now a lot of what I will talk about because this one and then the picture below was with Atlanta United and Atlanta Falcons. Um, and again, I was interning with Fox Sports working for Villanova, and my goal was I want to go to Atlanta United. It is the new, if you like MLS, if you remember, but when Atlanta United started, probably only like five, maybe actually, it's been longer than that. It's probably been like 8 years now, but it feels like yesterday that they built this new stadium in Atlanta and it was the place to be. And my dream was I need to be there. So I kept an eye out until a job opened and applied. And got lucky from just having other experience in MLS that I think that helped me get this interview, and ended up a month later driving down to Atlanta knowing no one. I My family was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I'm doing this. I We're gonna make it work." Um, and so this is just kind of a snapshot of everyone. I had a coworker that worked at New York Red Bulls when I was there that knew people. Again, small industry, and just connecting and networking with everybody. So we'll go to the next one unless there's any questions here. Awesome. So this is where I will talk. I know I mentioned corporate partnerships, but what does that mean? I will talk about all of that here. Um, I felt like I had made it. I got a call from the Lakers for a interview, and I honestly didn't take it seriously. I was like, "How are the Lakers calling me?" I applied online and didn't think I would hear from them. Um, and I probably had applied to 100 jobs, maybe more at this point, after my Atlanta internship that ended. And I was doing odd jobs just trying to make sure that I could pay my rent until I figured out what that next step was. Um, and I was lucky. I had this mentor, again, another one from Atlanta United. Her She was probably had been for 12 years, maybe longer in the NFL, was like the head of partnerships, and she was tough. I was a little scared of her, but she ended up becoming a mentor because she was tough when she saw that you had potential. She was hard on you because she wanted you to do well. She wanted you to just do your best and show that. So when I was applying for jobs, there was a few other ones that I heard from like random teams in cities I didn't want to go to, but I thought I was just gonna take it. And she told me not to, which was a really tough. I think I was mad at her for saying, "Don't take this job." I was like, "You don't understand. I need a job. Like, I'm not you. I can't do that." And in the end, I was thankful because not long after I got a call from the Lakers, and I knew that she was right. I should wait for the best thing for me. Um, so I moved out to LA. I didn't know anyone. I'd never been here, and I thought, let's try it. So, corporate partnerships coordinator was my first job there. What does that mean? It's a long name for a very more simple explanation. If you've been to a sporting event or not, if you've watched on TV, you've seen, I'm sure a lot of you may have jerseys and you see brands all over the shirts, on the sleeve, all over the screens in the stadium. That's that's this position. I was managing all of those brands, making sure that their contracts that they were paying us for, that they were getting what they wanted. So, for example, like they would have a contract for the year or maybe for 3 years that was specifically they need to get this, this, and this in stadium. So I would have to make sure every game we had their logo up on there. We had their logo on the shirt. We had a player coming and meeting some of their guests, social posts, so many different things that could be included in these contracts. And it was my job to make sure they were happy and they were getting all of that. This was really fun. You get to meet a ton of people. You get to really network, not just internally with all the departments, because you need to make sure that social and everyone that's handling that is handling it correctly, but you're working externally. You're meeting so many different brands. This is something that if you're interested in marketing in sports, I did not realize how many brands touched this. I like to tell people if you want to work in sports, you don't need to be with a team to get into that. If you remember any of these brands that you've seen on TV, at these sporting events, on these jerseys, if they're on a jersey or they've touched somehow, they're connected to a team, they probably have a sports marketing department or at least a marketing department because there's somebody in that company making sure to handle that. So that's just a good way it opens up your options. If you're looking, eventually you graduate, you're looking for a job in marketing, think of those brands. Look at those brands and see like which ones handle sports, which ones like entertainment, which ones are really big in marketing, and they will have probably a big team that you can look for and keep an eye on and see when they have openings. Um, so let's see, another point. I came into this job where it was my first full-time job. I was used to getting guidance, and when you get into your full-time job, they trust you. You are responsible for a lot. There's people there to ask questions to, but I kind of sometimes would fake it till I make it. And I would take from my old bosses, my old managers, what they taught me and try to like remember how to handle each part of the job. So, for example, I was given these brands and said, these are your accounts to manage. Reach out. We're going to connect you with the contacts, and you have to take their contract or connect you with the contacts, take their contract, tongue twister, um, and make sure that you execute it. Do everything that they want. And I was like, what? How do I keep track of this contract? I remembered my old manager had all these Excels that she tracked everything. So I would have to break up this contract into an Excel and organize it. That's just an example of what my job was. But that's something like I mean, I'm sure you're learning a lot of this in college too. Like you kind of get creative. You get into it and like it really is a real thing. I think I've done it. Every job I've done has kind of been a fake it till I make it. You know enough. You think you might question it, but you know what to do. It comes to it, you will come up with a creative idea and a way to figure it out. And then lastly, I from this job learn again another mentor. I think every step I've created more and more mentors that I've stuck to and kept in my network. There's something called WISE, which is Women in Sports and Events, and my manager at the time was on that board and encouraged me to join it. And I got lucky. I met peers and mentors. I have some peers that I'm still close with today that if I have questions, we've helped each other go to different jobs for people we know. We've kind of seen each other switch through different teams and positions. And then I've met mentors. I met a mentor through a virtual event that they did during COVID, who was in Chicago. And I found out later, is the leader of this huge sports marketing department for BMO, which is now LAFC's stadium. So, and she was someone that I would just call when I had questions. And it started out just from joining this club, this group, and then saying yes to these events that I was invited to, sometimes in person and sometimes virtual when it was during COVID. And I remember that day, I almost did not join the call. I was just like, I'm fatigued. I've been on my computer all day. I guess I'll force myself to do this. And out of it, I met her and I met one of my close friends who we met online and decided we needed to meet because we got along so well and had very similar jobs for different teams. So encourage you definitely with all of this. Any questions? Or I mean, you might be looking and saying, why are you in a picture with Charlie Puth?
There is one
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Is why specific to graduates, specific majors, or career paths?
So it's specifically, they do say if you're in sports and events, but if that's something you're interested in and you're a graduate or you're in college, you can go there. I think it's wise.com, honestly, and they have chapters all over the country in different cities. It does have a fee to join. Like when I've joined through my companies, the companies often encourages you to join it and will pay, but you do on your own have a fee. I think there's a student fee that is discounted. And then there's also actually they have events that you don't have to be a member. You could just pay to go to that event. Um, and I don't think it's usually too high of a fee to pay. It's just they want to get you in and they need some help covering some of the costs. But I challenge you, definitely encourage you, look at this website and find your chapter. Catherine, I saw you raise your hand, or was that your question? Okay.
Yeah, that was my question. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great one. People are willing, they love to help each other. Next page. So Why did I leave the Lakers? I think I get that question all the time. I was the Lakers for 4 seasons, won the championship 2020. Great. Even though we didn't get a parade that year, it was still fun. But I was ready for that next step. I think even my boss when I joined was honest to me in the time, and she said, "This is like a 2 to 3 year job that you're coming into." Um, the Lakers is a small company, family run. Well, was, I guess it's changing a little bit, the Bus family. But I there was not much movement, there was not much growth opportunity for me there. So I kind of looked at what do I like in this job? What is it that I'm good at? What is it that makes me excited? And the two things I came up with, I loved when I did events for my partners, and I thought I was good at project management. My job, I felt like, was a lot of project management. That can mean a lot of things. My laptop just told me that my AirPods just connected, but I
We
didn't
can,
open.
we,
You can hear
yeah,
me?
we can
Okay,
hear you.
sorry. I was like, wait a second. That was random. I don't know where they are. Um, so I project management. I was really having to manage multiple different departments, multiple different people. Those Excel sheets I was talking about, and I felt like I was good at that. So I looked for a job that was really going to touch both of those points. And I found this job on location to be a creative manager for event production. Again, what does that mean? So confusing. I went into it. I will admit, I don't think I fully knew what it meant either. Um, but it sounded exciting. And I decided, like, let's try it. Let's do this. I was working with an agency who was the official hospitality provider for multiple sporting events. So the Super Bowl, the Final Four, they're now doing Olympics, FIFA when World Cup comes, things like that. And my job was kind of to be that in between project management person between the event producers, so the people that were really like creating and putting on this event, and the design team. This design team were the ones that were actually creating the signage, the when you walk into these big events, like I'm sure the Super Bowl coming up this weekend, you'll see that they have all these like pre-events with tents outside of the stadiums. We were coming in and designing that. So I was really making sure to keep everyone on track, keep the flow, and it's a long process. You might not realize this, but the Super Bowl coming up this weekend, they started planning that probably 2 weeks after the Super Bowl last year. It takes that long to plan these big events. So I was that in between of making sure I would go to the NFL with all of the designs we had and make sure that they approved because that's something you don't think about, but the NFL has the rights and they have to give us the approval that we can use anything that says NFL or Super Bowl. And so that was really my job. It was a lot of work. I did not know, I will admit, I didn't know much about creative. I was saying my twin brother is the creative side, I'm the sports side. Um, and I had to learn. I learned so many terms that I'd never heard of before. There's so many different programs for building 3D models. And it was so interesting. I stayed there for, it was like a year and a half, almost 2 years. And it was interesting. I learned a lot. I kind of like to say it was another tool for my toolbox. Like I was adding so much more to my knowledge, to my resume, to learning how to produce events, but it wasn't the end all where I wanted to stay. So I took this, and from this, it definitely helped me get this present job with Fabletics. I will admit, before taking this job, I applied to Fabletics originally. I knew I wanted to work there. Um, and I interviewed, I didn't get the position. I they said like we're so sorry you don't seem the right fit for this. But stay in touch. And so I stayed in touch with that recruiter that told me that. And after coming here, I got that event experience for the position that I was wanted with them. And a year and a half, 2 years later at this job, that position opened again. And I reached out to this recruiter and said, I have event experience now. I'm ready. And she looked at my resume and she said, wow, you're right. And I ended up getting an interview. And another funny story in the industry. My manager, my boss, ended up being neighbors with my boss at the Lakers. And she called her and said, "Who's this Samantha girl?" I just had an interview with her, and luckily, my boss gave a great recommendation, and I was hired. So I walked away from the Lakers years ago, and it came back around in a full circle. Um, so that, again, small world. Any questions here before I go into my present day? Okay.
There's one question from Catherine. What type of careers did you work with most in this role?
It's a good question. There were so many. So, in specifically, this company had so many different departments. I worked with a lot of graphic designers, um, event producers, a lot of marketers. We would have our basically it was like ticketing and hospitality. So these people would sell the tickets to these events, but then we also had people handling the VIP hospitality, like those little lounges. And then we also had CRM and email, which are the people that they design and create the emails that they then send out to promote this. But on top of that, everywhere will have finance, accounting. You to have a business, you have that well-rounded department. I just didn't touch them as much.
And there's one more question from
Mhm.
Melanie, who shares that creative part is what intrigues her the most. What are some of the most crucial aspects of it that you've learned or had to learn?
Being in creative, yes. I mean, I think if you really love creative and you like to do the design side of things, learning a few programs, those are some skills. So programs meaning, I mean, Photoshop. I'm trying to think of all the names of these things. There was another one that was SketchUp, and that's kind of more of a 3D like floor plan. Um, I can look it online and send over to Carla to share with you. But you can also Google it. But there's so many different programs that you can work on. And when you get those skills strong, those are things that people look for. I was kind of jealous. I would see how much like these graphic designers could do. I still can't. They would help me with it. But that's a skill that like not everybody has and sets you apart. Awesome. Okay. Let's go into the current chapter. You're probably sick of hearing my voice, so we're going to play a video first. This is just an example of one of our events we did with Fabletics with our Becky G partnership. I'll put the volume up, so hopefully you can hear this. Um, so this was last year in February. We launched a partnership with Becky G, and I'll tell you quickly about this, then we'll go into what my job actually is here. Um, and it was right around the fires in LA, so we wanted to really give back and find a way that we could help some families affected, and we hosted with Becky a private event for I think it was Altadena girls that we invited. And we just brought some fun, just a chance to feel special. And we had like some bracelets, keychain making, gifts, photos. They got to meet Becky, get their hair done, their nails done. Just a fun little thing recap for you guys to see. But what I do here at Fabletics, I am the senior manager of events and partnerships here. So I came into this role, and Fabletics didn't really have an event department, didn't plan events, and they wanted to figure out a way to make not just do like workouts here and there, but do these intentional strategic events. So I came in 2.5 years ago. And I've been here now and I've been loving it. I am given a lot of responsibility, as I said. They really trust you. I think once you prove that you can do this and that you can throw these events, they just let you take it and run with it. So I've been very lucky to be able to work with some of these great partners like Becky. And I think my first event, I was thrown into it with Khloe Kardashian, and I was scared. So again, I had to fake it till I made it. My first ever event that I produced, because again, remember this last on location job, I didn't produce events. I was just the creative manager witnessing it happen. So, and I told them that when I was coming into this job, but they trusted me. I told them I knew events. And I came in and made it work. I honestly, I impressed myself my first event that I definitely cried tears of happiness at the end of it, maybe also exhaustion. But from there, I was trusted from my first event it was a workout with Chloe and some of her friends and family. And I loved it. I loved that feeling of working hard and seeing everything come to life. And so I've been now doing that for 2.5 years I'm given kind of our marketing campaign schedule. Something else you probably don't think about, but when you see like next month, you see your favorite brand launching a marketing campaign, they've probably been planning that for over a year. It was probably like a year and a half ago that they had that plan to come out in March. And so that's what we have to do. We get given these marketing plans, knowing what's coming up next year, and we start planning. Um, and yeah, this video that you saw. I get to touch, not only did I concept the idea and run it by our marketing team and Becky, I then work with agencies and I hire an agency that helps me actually build this idea out. And then from there, I also make sure that we have a videographer, a photographer, and make sure that we have the people that will be showing these videos, showing these photos. Um, and then I work also with our social producer so that they make sure that they're going to be filming and posting on Fabletics social. And then work with our CRM/email team that they're going to email people out if it's a public event. This one was not, to get them to the event. So again, those are so many different departments. Interest, if any of those that I called out interest you, like those are ways to really get into these jobs. And then another one, the agency side that I just said. Yes, I work in events and I'm on the brand side with Fabletics, planning events, but I don't do a single event without calling an agency and hiring them. So there's a lot of different types of agencies, experiential, marketing, ad agencies. So mostly mine are like marketing experiential agencies, which means like they come in and these fun pop-ups you're probably seeing all over the place, these activations outside, inside. These agencies are actually the ones that know how to put them on. I kind of go to them with, I have this idea, this like bigger picture. How do I do it? I need your help in like building this out. Um, so that's something that if you like to really be the one on the hand, like your hands on the ground, making this come to life, an agency is also a great option in the marketing world. So that's that for the event side. And then I also have in my title partnerships. So that's a whole nother side of things. We typically, they come hand in hand. A lot of these events, we often, and you probably see this also on your TikToks, on your Instagrams, that brands will be gifting, like one brand will be having an event and they'll be gifting another brand's like product. Like maybe Fabletics is having an event, but we want to gift skincare also. So I'll connect with these brands and we'll kind of work together to have this mutual partnership where I'll tell them we will post and tag you if you can provide 50 of your face washes that I could gift to our guests at this event. So we're helping get their brand out and then we'll tag them and they'll repost. So that's one way. Another way is, and that's through there's no money exchange. It's just kind of a trade. But there's also the way that these larger brand partnerships, where we say for HydroJug, for example, we worked with them to brand some hydro drugs and actually sell them on our website. So that's another side of things that you have to really work with your internal teams. There's other departments there that we have like a merchandising department that has to handle actually getting this product from hydro drugs shipped to our warehouse. And then we get it up on our website for sale and then we can ship it to people. So there's many behind the scenes steps that I've had to learn about. Um, so yeah, there's so many different parts to this. But if you're interested in events or partnerships, I'd love any questions there. I can definitely dive deeper into this if you have some interest. Anything I'm missing? Okay, awesome. Well, then I'll go into again what might surprise you. As you know, no 2 days look the same. That for me is the fun of it. I'm not sitting at my desk every day. I'm running around. Today, I actually had a Pilates event for one of our brand ambassadors. So I was setting that up, kind of trying to do the class with them, but sweating too much, and then cleaning up and heading home. So that keeps it fun. Um, Again, you know this. You don't need to know everything. I've learned so much on this job. And I will be the first to admit it. I didn't know anything about retail. I have learned a ton about retail marketing, which is another department that I actually work with, and they handle any events or any marketing within the retail stores. So we have over 100 stores in the US, and we're now moving across the globe. We've opened up in Mexico City and Guatemala. We're opening in Colombia soon, Peru, Canada, so Dubai. So it's really growing. And we have these experts at that know how to really set up the retail stores the best that they can, make sure that they look great. We have the people that are actually printing everything that's marketing, any signs you see in stores, like that's someone's job. Um, and then I work closely with them as well if we want to do an event in store. We'll kind of work together. And if I say I want to bring this coffee cart in, they know the best placement for it in the store, and fun things like that. So yes, I'm gonna go. I have more pictures of some more events that I can show you. Another video. So this video is we just opened up in Century City Mall in November, which is a huge deal for brands to get in this huge mall. And so we created a larger event, had an influencer event, um, where we invited a bunch of influencers to come see the opening, help us promote it before we fully opened. And then we were open for the weekend with this cafe Fabletics that we built out in addition to our retail store to encourage people to come to the event. So I'm going to just play this for you. That's just another fun one that we've been proud of recently. And here you see multiple other events that we've done. We had a, a collab with Smiley. We did some pop-ups with Chloe. We brought her into our store. Um, but yeah, these are just a handful of numerous events that have happened and encourage you if you have any questions getting into the event field. I'd love to definitely stay connected and help you guys out with that. One more funny story for you. I, in college, in my digital marketing class, I'm sure you guys probably get some speakers over Zoom. I mean, just like this. But I had this one speaker speak to us. He was working in sports, I think at the PGA Tour in golf, which didn't interest me at the time at all. But he encouraged us, if you want to stay in touch, add me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to help you. So I did that, and I reached out to him and just tried to stay connected. I remember him saying that I think like only two of us reached out or something in the class, even though he told everybody that definitely stay in touch. And we stayed connected, not too much. Like I just remembered his name. I had him on LinkedIn so I could kind of see when he posted and what he was doing. And this was back in 2015. No, yeah, I think 2015. This past year, 2025, 10 years later, at Fabletics doing an event. And it was specifically this new collab we were coming out with Malbon, which is a brand that's a golf brand. And I had to do this very specific event that was working on this digital video we had to do, and then this pop-up for the collab and the product. And I saw recently on LinkedIn around that time that he posted that he had just started his own digital marketing agency. And I reached out to him, and he ended up doing this event for us, which was so fun to have that full circle. I actually had to email my professor and say, "You're not going to believe this. You introduced us, and we're working together now." Yeah, so, and we actually had multiple agencies that we had present to us, and we had one that was a bigger agency that we were told we were kind of encouraged to use, but they ended up not giving a great proposal. And we kind of asked them to both show like what they could do for us is like how it works, and everyone was so happy with this agency. So yeah, again, small world, and keep those connections because you could be on either side of it. I think I was so excited I could finally be the one kind of hiring him and doing this work, and I'm not just asking him to help me. Like in the past I would say, can you give me a recommendation here and there? So it's fun. You will make get there where you're mutual helping each other.
Wow,
So
thank you so much, Samantha. This is
yeah.
like super cool. Your
Yeah.
job is just really cool. We did
Um,
have one like question in the chat. I want to respect your time too.
Good.
So this can be the last question is from
Amazing.
Catherine around
Yeah.
the skills that are most applicable across both of your career sectors, partnerships and events.
Yes, absolutely. And funny you said that because this is the last slide and it's like I'm answering it right here. Um, I think a big one that's not on here, but relationship building. That is you having relationships, being able to work well with people, customer service, that works in anywhere. I worked in a produce market when I was in high school, and I still use that customer service that I learned for every single one of these roles because you're working with people, you're learning to be professional. And then here, as you're seeing these skills that really matter, that work ethic, no matter where you are, showing up, your curiosity and willingness to learn, the fake it till you make it, I said, and then communication. Those are, I think, no matter what, if you don't fully have the skill, you can learn that. There's YouTube, there's trainings, you can learn these skills, but being able to come up and show this and show that like you want to learn takes you a long way. Awesome. And you see this, so I don't want to take all your time tonight either, but this was the last slide anyway. And just if there's any more questions, but here's kind of a handful of what we've already discussed of what to take away of like what you can do now if you want to get into whether it's sports, events, or any other marketing or any other type of industry. I think this applies for a lot of it. And I will give you this just so this is my LinkedIn. If you want to find me, I would love add me, reach out. I would love to stay in touch. Anything that I can do. Um,
Thank you so much, Samantha.
see, am I still sharing?